but we're not actually going to impose the changes until July 1st. There's plenty of lead time. The industry can't say they weren't informed, and it allows us to take our time signing people. We're going to work first with existing personnel. And the other thing about full implementation on July 1st is that if we do, we'll come back to council with the enforcement. If we do decide to have a full audit ability in there, that it's going to take personnel to do that, and that's not in the current budget. So we're going to do a lot of work with existing staff.
Mayor, given the experience of the other cities where some lenders have moved outside, so we've changed the products they offer.
Some cities, we hope to follow the San Antonio model where while there were a few lenders who left, payday lenders who left, the majority of them adapted and adopted and went forward.
I mean, do you think that even though, like you said, some
the
left
beard, by the way. I think you do.
Thank you. The different loan products they're offering, and as the discussion happened today, that people can take out multiple loans in multiple places. There's nothing to prevent that. Are you concerned that those aspects could undermine the effectiveness of this ordinance?
Absolutely, and it's something that we're going to watch. Now that once we have a fully functioning ordinance in place, if it appears that people are getting around the ordinance by hitting multiple providers, we'll move to address that at that time.
Mayor, off subject, because I know the importance of the payday loan.
You better get one to Adams for pictures.
I have all the pictures.
Okay.
But the main thing, Mayor, is if you go all the way back to your first term in office, Bill White put out a plan, because this was discussed today in some detail. He put out a plan to talk about terminals and gave the city council a choice. And he had Mr. Oxshire and the
He
team.
put a committee in place, a task force in place at the end of his term, and I actually brought their recommendation to a council vote for various reasons. Some council members, including council members who were here today, voted not to place it before the voters. I fully intend, before I leave, to take not an overturning of term limits, but going to 2 4-year terms, which was the recommendation of that task force, to council to place it before the voters.
So you heard the remorse too, their voices when they talked about the maybe remorse and having a 2-year term when you have to run after the first term again.
Well, I will serve my entire time in local government with 2-year terms, but as mayor, it's much more impactful because I see what happens. San Antonio and Houston are the 2 mega cities in America that have 2-year terms, and it puts us at a disadvantage vis-a-vis our fellow mayors and those cities in terms of competing for grants, in terms of working through the organizations that support cities, such as the League of Cities and U.S. Conference of Mayors, and it certainly provides, it's expensive, and it for the city and for candidates, and it provides for distraction. So, not applying to myself, but I fully expect to take something for council so we can put it on the ballot.
Yeah, Mayor, in response to the children advocacy and local leaders who are saying that they're against the settlement agreement between the city and the clubs, and why, this agreement was not on the vote. Yeah.
We settled a 16-year lawsuit, and it's unfortunate that they don't agree with my decision. Lots of people don't agree with lots of my decisions, but this is not something that applies to the ordinance. The ordinance still stands. It was a settlement with 16 clubs that were essentially grandfathered under the ordinance, and it is not subject to a vote of council. So they can keep talking about it, but nothing's going to change.
And what's going to happen with the others? It's more like 300.
And now I can reassign resources to the problem clubs because we have reached a resolution with these clubs. I think a lot of the discussion out in the community is for people who simply do not like the adult entertainment industry. This is not about the adult entertainment industry, how I feel about it or not. This is about the settling of a 16-year lawsuit and actually getting something for that settlement, which is the elimination in those clubs of private rooms, which is where prostitution takes place, and having access to data on the women who work in those clubs, so that we have a partnership to prevent human trafficking. And I don't think we should get sidetracked by those folks who simply don't like the adult entertainment industry.
The same-sex lawsuit that was filed.
Yeah, the temporary restraining.
There was a last moment, we fully expected that after my decision to bring the city's policies in line with Supreme Court rulings on offering all legal spouses full benefits, that there would be someone who would take exception to that and file suit. Unfortunately, I can't really speak to the suit or the TRO because we weren't given notice. The city attorney, like 15 minutes before 5 o'clock last night, was told that it happened. It's rather unfortunate that there was no warning and no notice given to us, but that's the way they want to do things. So be it.
Another legal question is the Ashby settlement. Obviously, the city's been intensely involved in that discussion over the years in various ways. What's your reaction to that? Not the settlement, but the ruling and the jury's decision?
Well, the city's not a party to this lawsuit, and I fully expect that there'll be a lot of issues going up on appeal, and we're just going to continue to watch with great interest and a little bit of concern. I've stated my view of the Ashby high-rise. Great project, wrong place, but the issues that are raised in this lawsuit certainly potentially have an impact on the city, but I know that it is not going to stop here, so I'm just going to wait and see how it plays out.
Question for the attorney.
It could. But again, we don't know how it's going to be resolved. This is just the first stage in the legal process. Sir?
Just a question for Attorney Feldman about the TRO.
Dave? Yeah, we knew someone was going to file suit. It would have been nice to have a little bit of communication, as a professional courtesy. One would think that the city would have been given notice so that we would have a chance to appear in court.
Yes. Could you tell us who the plaintiff was in that case?
His name is Pigeon.
Okay. And, okay. Now.
Plaintiff's names are Pigeon and Hicks.
Thank you. And now, procedurally and not substantively, my understanding is that there will be a hearing on January 6th. Could you?
So I understand. The mayor's right. We received no real notice of this. I got an email. There was the time on it was 2 minutes to 5. I opened it up at 5:35, and it said you need to come to the court for a hearing. I then learned later, and when I tried to call the court, there was no answer. I learned later that night that a temporary restraining order was entered against the city at 5:13. So that was 15 minutes after I received an email from a paralegal in a law firm about the city attorney, had immediately go to the courthouse. The court signed an order. We don't generally play that way, and we expect to be treated, and patent to be treated differently than that. The case is also in a family district court, which is quite unusual. Those courts are accustomed to entering orders in divorce cases where the other party may not appear. I don't think this would have happened in a regular civil district court. The city would have been called, given an opportunity to appear. We weren't. We didn't have that opportunity. So we will move aggressively to try to reverse the order and obviously vigorously defend the lawsuit.
Thank you.
What happens right now? Are those benefits going to be offered until?
We haven't been served with anything. And we don't have an order. We have not been served with anything. It's interesting also that the hearing is set for January 6th.
Yeah, yes.
So I understand that temporary restraining orders under Texas law are only good for 14 days.
Yeah.
So you can do the math.
Yes, I understand.
But
Thank you.
as of now, those benefits will continue to
Yes.
be offered.
Until we're
Just to be
served with
clear.
something and obligated by law to comply.
These sound like errors of the court, no?
I'm sorry?
These sound like errors made by the court.
I like your beard as well. I don't know enough about what happened, Mike, to be good. We were just kept in the dark.
The
We're
media
still in the
called
dark.
us and-
You know, we're learning from you guys what happened.
Do you think that was underhanded, or maybe not underhanded, but a little under?
It's unfortunate, and we don't know whether this is inexperience on the part of the judge who heard this, or I just don't even want to speculate. It was just unfortunate that we had no opportunity to respond in any way.
May I approve that?
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Great Houston partnership is waiting.